I'm here.
Great. Is Mr. Stegman here?
Yes, hi, Ann. I'm here.
Right. And then Mr. Ruby is here. I saw you when I first came in. So wonderful. All right. Well, thank you all for being here today with us as we review the next steps for financial aid and billing for those of you who will transition to Towson University after this semester. This presentation is geared towards transitioning.
All right, Bill.
And we just asked if everybody could please mute themselves so that we can make sure that everything that needs to be heard is recorded here today clearly. Thank you. I'm going to start off with a real quick review of the upcoming timeline as it relates to the transition process. I will be followed by Mr. Webster from CCBC, who will briefly review what will happen for students who do not transition to Towson. Mr. Stegman from Towson's Financial Aid Office will explain what will happen on the Towson side of things. And finally, Mr. Ruby will provide information regarding how the billing process will work once you transition. I do want to acknowledge that I am stepping in today. I am Ann Gamble. I serve as the Director for Transfer and Degree Acceleration. I met many of you over the course of placement testing and orientation over the summer, but of course your coordinator is Ms. Macy Casalino, and she's rounding out her training. So this is one of the last things she'll observe this semester before she goes off on her own. So I just wanted to acknowledge any follow-up would go to Ms. Casalino, your coordinator. Okay, so the upcoming timeline, of course, you're in the final weeks of classes, and so hopefully you're gearing up for your finals next week. And then your instructors will submit their final grades. And by December 19th, you will be able to see those final grades. You'll be able to access them from your My CCBC Simon account. And because the college will be closing for the winter break, you will not receive formal notification of your status from your coordinator, Ms. Casalino, until the college reopens on Monday, January the 5th. So you will get notification at that time, whether you've transitioned, so you met the transition criteria, the 3.0 with no grade less than a C, and you passed your developmental math class. Or if you weren't eligible to transition, but you were eligible to remain in the program, so that means you have above a 2.0 GPA, so that you can finish in the spring semester. Or if you fall below the 2.0 GPA requirement, if you are considered as dismissed. So you will get that notification as well as the next steps based on your status at that time. So we wanted to bring you all together so that you can better understand what the process will look like, because if you do transition, it will change. I do think it gets a little bit easier because with FTP, we're managing this manually because you all represent about 150 students out of 25,000 credit students at CCBC. So the process has been a little bit different. And once you get to Towson, you'll be integrated in with the general population. If you were on track at the midterm point, you were given the opportunity to register for classes as long as you did not have a balance. And so as long as you meet the transition criteria, you're good to go. If you were not on track at the midterm point, but you do meet the transition criteria at the end of the semester, you will be able to register beginning on January 6th, as long as you don't have any holds and as long as you don't owe a balance. So that notification will come from Mrs. Casalino. We'll outline all of that, but I wanted to provide that to you for today. So now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Webster. He's going to discuss information regarding remaining in the program and a few reminders for those of you that will transition. Mike?
Thanks, Ann. Good morning, everybody. So for anybody who doesn't know who I am, I'm Mike Webster. I'm the financial aid administrator at CCBC on the Dundalk campus, and I do, as part of my duties, the financial aid for the FTP program. I'm not the star of today's show for two main reasons. Number one is that my message is for the minority of students here, which is the students who will remain in the program and not transition, so who will be staying with the FTP for a second semester for spring 26. And also because my message, even for those minority students, is very simple, which is essentially that the process will work for the spring the exact same way that it worked in the fall. So if you're staying in the program, everything will work kind of exactly the same way that it did in the fall. You want to keep up with your emails. You'll get email updates. You want to keep up with your assignment account through CCBC to see what, if anything, is needed from you. You will need to reapply for loans if you are taking out loans, either student loans or Parent Plus loans. Again, you will fill out physical paper applications for the spring semester that you will submit to the office here. They will all be online on the FTP website shortly. And then you will also get links to them in your weekly emails as well. The only thing that while we're on that subject of loans is you won't have to redo entrance counseling or master promissory notes. Those are good for 10 years, so you don't have to redo those if you already did them for the fall semester. The only thing loan wise that you may need to redo for the spring is if your parent is going to be taking out a Parent Plus loan, they may need to do a new credit check. And that's because those credit checks are only good for 180 days. So depending on when they did their credit check for the fall semester, if they took out a loan for the fall, then they may need to redo that to make that current, make that valid if it was over 180 days ago. And again, of course, if they're just applying for the first time, they also are going to have to go through that process for the first time, doing that credit check online. And all the instructions come with the paper applications that you'll be getting and filling out. So again, essentially, the process is the same as it was for the fall semester if you're continuing in the program for the spring. Just a couple of things that I do want to mention are number one, with your FAFSA application, one FAFSA application covers you for one academic year rather than calendar year. That's fall, winter, spring, summer, and then it starts again every fall. So you won't need to redo a new FAFSA application for this spring or anything like that. Your existing FAFSA application that you've already done for the 25-26 academic year is still in effect. For everybody, whether you're transitioning or not, one thing that's important is making sure that whatever school needs that FAFSA has access to it. So if you're staying in the program, that's CCBC, making sure that the CCBC school code is on your FAFSA application. If you are making that transition, you want to make sure that TU school code is on your FAFSA application as well. Now, if you've been following the instructions we've been giving you the whole time, then there really shouldn't be anything that you need to do because we've been advising students to add both of those school codes to FAFSA applications throughout this entire process. FAFSAs can be sent to up to 20 schools at a time. And so we kind of always advised that you make two of those 20 schools TU and CCBC. So both schools should already have access to your FAFSA application. That being said, if you do need to make an adjustment there, adding a school code to your FAFSA application for 25-26, we ask that you hold off on doing that until the fall semester officially ends. The reason for that is anytime you make an adjustment to your FAFSA application, there is the potential for you to be selected by the federal government kind of at random for a process called verification, where we then have to collect documents from you here at the school. If you technically no longer attend CCBC, meaning the fall semester has already ended, you're making that transition over to TU, then we no longer have to collect those documents here at CCBC. If you are technically still attending CCBC, meaning you get selected by making a change on your FAFSA prior to the end of the fall semester.
Mike, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Did I actually hit a button? How long was I muted?
Just a few, like a minute.
Okay, I must have accidentally hit the button in my hand. Sorry about that. So anyway, so yeah, what I was saying was you just want to wait to make any adjustments to your FAFSA application if you need to add school codes to it until after the fall semester officially ends. And that way, any students who are transitioning out of the program do not need to submit documents to CCBC. If you make changes and get selected for verification before the fall semester officially ends, then we do have to legally request those documents from you, collect documents from you, even to the point of potentially rescinding financial aid you may have already received in order to get and process those documents. So it's important that if you do need to make any edits to your existing 25-26 FAFSA application, you don't do that until the fall semester is officially over. That being said, there is the next year's FAFSA application available for you to complete if you haven't done that yet. That's for the 26-27 academic year, and that will begin with the fall 2026 semester. So that's something you want to complete as soon as possible as well. The earlier you complete it, the more financial aid you could potentially receive. So if you haven't started that process yet, you can start that process now, but that won't impact you as part of the FTP program again, because that FAFSA does not go into effect until next fall 26. The only other thing you may need to do is alert the Maryland Higher Education Commission, MHEC, about what school you're attending in the spring semester. Depending on whether or not you are staying in the program or transitioning, you want to go online to that MDCAP system. And this is for Maryland residents getting aid from the Maryland state government. If you are receiving state aid, you want to let them know to direct that aid to CCBC if you're remaining in the program, or to direct it to Towson if you are transitioning out of the program into being a regular Towson student. So you might want to just log on to that MDCAP site and just make sure that they have the appropriate school listed for the upcoming spring semester to address your aid to. I think that's pretty much it for me. I mean, like I said, my message is pretty simple. Everything will work the same way for the spring as it did in the fall. If you are remaining in the program, you'll still deal with CCBC in terms of financial aid and billing. You'll still get those weekly email updates from us that tell you where you're at and kind of advise you on what you need to be doing, what kind of bill you may still owe at that moment. So the most important message for me as far as students remaining in the program is to keep up with that email on a regular basis, and that'll be your Towson email account, your at students.towson.edu email account. Keep up with that on a very regular basis. Read over everything that you're receiving there from us very carefully, start to finish. Forward those emails to your parents or guardians or whoever else may be assisting you if you want to get their assistance with that. And yeah, as long as you're on top of those kind of communications, you're not going to miss a thing from us, and you're going to be all good for the spring semester, kind of the same as we did for the fall. So yeah, unless there's anything you want me to add in, I think that's it for me.
That's great. Thanks, Mike. And
Thanks a
so
lot.
now we're going to go ahead and transition over to Mr. Stegman. I'm going to share his presentation, Financial Aid at Towson University. Mike?
All right. Hi, everybody. First off, I want to say how excited I am for you to transition to TU. I know the end of the semester is definitely a stressful one. But what I just wanted to go over today is just some general information about Towson's aid, our aid process, what you're going to be considered for. Some of it's going to be a little bit of an overlap with what Mike had said. But the first thing I wanted to first off, I'm Michael Stegman. I'm the Associate Director of Advising for Towson University. So I oversee our financial aid advisors. And the first thing I wanted to go over today, which is going to be pretty familiar to you because you've already received aid at CCBC, and that is what types of aid that we're going to be considering you for. So there's really three big areas of aid.
You're muted.
Yeah, sorry, it just muted me for some reason. There's three types of aid that you're going to be considered for from the FAFSA. The first one is going to be what we call gift aid. So that's free money. So that's going to be in the form of grants that are usually need-based. So that's going to be like the federal Pell Grant that you might be used to at CCBC, and then also the TU institutional grant. So that is specific to TU. In addition, we also have some scholarships that you'll be able to apply for through our scholarship website. So that you can just find at our main financial aid page. Naturally, loans you'll also be considered for from the FAFSA. Work study you'll also be considered for. And this is a program where you would get funding to get a part-time job on campus. So it's not like a grant or a loan. It's something that you can actively earn towards throughout the semester by finding a work study job on campus. And then finally, something that Tom might get into later is we do have an available payment plan as well. For if you have extra cost remaining, they do have a payment plan in the billing office called the Tiger Installment Plan. All right, so the first thing, which you've most likely already completed at CCBC to be considered for financial aid, that would be completing the FAFSA application. So once again, this is used to be considered for federal loans as well as need-based grants. And this has to be completed every single year that you're going to be enrolled in college. And we do have information on this website here, towson.edu/FAFSA. This is actually a great website where we break down all of the steps that you need to follow in order to complete your FAFSA. And then just a few notes here that it first off isn't too late to apply. So if you didn't apply for financial aid with CCBC, but you might need loans at Towson due to the increased cost, you can certainly still fill out your FAFSA for 25-26. And like Mike had said, if you haven't listed our school code, you want to add TU school code to your FAFSA, but you only want to do this after the end of the semester. So that way CCBC doesn't have to collect additional documentation from you. And then also for the spring, just a reminder, if you haven't already submitted it, it's the 25-26 FAFSA that we're using. And then for next year, you're going to be submitting the 26-27 FAFSA, and that is currently available for you to complete. So we definitely recommend completing that as soon as possible. And then what is the FAFSA used for? Once again, that's to determine your eligibility for student loans as well as your parent for parent loans and need-based grants, like we say here, the Pell Grant, institutional grant, and then those grants from the Maryland Higher Education Commission. So now after you've completed the FAFSA, Towson gets a copy of your FAFSA. The next step is that we're going to make your aid offer, and you're going to have some additional steps to follow at Towson in order to take action on that aid. So first off, we're going to start sending out aid notifications to our spring admits, students that are coming in for the spring, like yourselves, and we're going to start sending that in December. Now, we actually won't send you an award notification until you actually transition to TU in January, and you're an admitted student at TU. So you should receive an aid notification most likely by the middle of January, and you'll get notified with a full layout of not only the financial aid that you're going to be getting, but then also the expected costs that you're going to experience. And then we will say in that aid notification, this website here, towson.edu/aid steps, as well as further down the towson.edu/aid guide. Both of these are extremely important to fully review before you take action on your financial aid. It explains what you would have to do in order to report changes to us that could affect your aid, like if you're changing your housing status, if you won't be full-time, certain things like that, that we will eventually adjust your aid for. So we want to adjust it as early as possible so you know how much aid you're going to have at the start of the semester. Like it says here, failure to complete these steps will indeed cause delays and late fees on your billing account. So you want to make sure that you're following all those 8 steps carefully and that they're fully complete before you start the semester. And then, like Mike had said, if you have state aid from MHEC, you want to log into your MD CAPS account, report that you're going to be attending TU to spring once you transition. And this is processed by our scholarship unit. So if you make a change and you don't notice your aid posted by the middle of January, definitely just give our scholarship unit a call or email, and they can check on that for you. Okay, so next we're going to talk about loans. We're first going to start with student loans. So you do have to, once again, complete a FAFSA to be considered for these. And it's going to work a little bit different from CCBC because you're going to have the option to accept and decline these loans directly on your TU dashboard. And that's going to be through your TU online services. So once again, on the previous page, there was that website, towson.edu/aid steps, and that will give you full information on how to go in and accept and decline your loans. Now, when you go to accept your loans, you don't have to accept the full amounts. You will be given the option to accept and then change the amount that you would like. We will initially offer you your maximum loan amounts, so you can't accept more than that, but you can certainly accept less. And then just a note here that you always want to accept the subsidized loan first. That is a need-based loan. It doesn't accrue interest while you're in school and doesn't start accruing interest until you begin repayment. So since it's a need-based loan, you definitely always want to accept that fully before considering the other student loan, the unsubsidized loan. And then also, if you received loans at CCBC, just like you had to do there, you have to complete those 2 online requirements, entrance counseling and master promissory note, and that would be done at studentloans.gov. And then both of these are required to be completed at TU, so you can receive any loans that you accept specifically at TU. So the next loan would be the Parent Plus loan. So once again, this is applied for by your parent at studentloans.gov. Now, if you have already applied at CCBC for the fall, your parent does have to submit another application for Towson because it is school specific, and they do require a credit check. So if your parent has applied for a loan previously, that credit check expires after 180 days, so it's most likely going to check their credit again. And then your parent does have to complete a new master promissory note if they're approved. Outside of that, what happens if your parent is denied the Parent Plus loan? There are a couple of options available. One, if they feel that the decision that they were denied for has been resolved, or they want to challenge that, they can appeal that decision. They can get an endorser for the loan, so that's like a cosigner with good standing credit. And then also, you yourself as the student can instead request an additional unsubsidized loan. And for freshman students, that would be up to $4,000 for the year. Now, if you already received $2,000 at CCBC for the fall, then you could only receive your remaining $2,000 at Towson for the spring. Okay, and then the final loans would be the alternative or private loans. So these are loans that are not through the federal government. They're more through lending agencies like credit unions, lending organizations, maybe even local banks. And these loans do require credit checks and also usually require a parent cosigner, just because they do require good standing credit, and most students haven't established good credit yet. And then you would choose your own private lender. So for that, we usually recommend considering the terms for the loan, how much the interest is going to be for that loan, and then if they have any deferment, so you wouldn't have to pay on it right away and things like that. And then these are usually more expensive than plus loans. Because the interest rates vary and they're typically variable, so they change, whereas the Parent Plus loan interest rate is fixed. So if your parent is considering either applying for a plus loan or a private loan, we always recommend applying with the federal plus loan first. Okay, now paying your bill. So the student responsibility that we have here is that you must compare all of your financial aid to your expected charges and final bill, and you want to develop a plan beforehand to pay all of your expenses. So if you don't have enough financial aid to cover all of your bill, you want to either have your parent consider applying for a parent loan, a private loan, or utilize that payment plan that the billing office has available. Now, you are billed one semester at a time. So you're going to be billed for the spring, and then when you start in the fall, you'll be billed separately for that. And aid cannot disperse until all steps are complete. So if we request any information from you, we'll, one, email you about that, and then two, we'll put it on your Towson to-do list through your dashboard. And if you see anything there that we're requesting, you want to take immediate action on that, because chances are we won't be able to release your aid until that's complete. Now, if your bill exceeds your aid, naturally you would have to pay your remaining bill. Like I said previously, borrow loans are a payment plan. And then if your aid exceeds your bill, the billing office will send you a rebate check for the difference, and that's to use for living and book expenses. Now, some tips that you want to keep in mind. First off, check your TU email regularly. I know you're going to get a lot of emails from all departments on campus, professors, other students. Thank you. And you're going to get emails pretty much from a lot of different sources, so it does get a little heavy, but you always want to keep a close eye on any financial aid emails. They're all extremely important. They're all relating to the release of your financial aid, so you want to take action on all of those. You also want to keep an eye on your Towson to-do list on your TU dashboard. Anything that we're requesting from you, we'll post there as well. And then you want to respond as quickly as possible to any of these requests. Some of these processes are lengthy that we have to resolve with your FAFSA or additional information that we need. So the earlier you do it, the faster we can resolve that for you. And then starting at TU, you're going to want to complete a release of information form if you would like us to discuss aid with your parents, family members, a liaison who's working on your behalf. And what this does is this satisfies the FERPA Act and allows us to discuss your financial aid with that individual when they call or reach out to our office. And then the 2627 FAFSA, that, like I said, that is available now. You want to complete that as soon as possible, but no later than February 1st. That is Towson's need-based priority deadline. So if you complete it by that date, you're guaranteed to be considered for the maximum amount of need-based aid. And then just a reminder, our website has all the information that you would need in order to determine your eligibility for different types of aid, what the requirements are, additional scholarship options. So we definitely recommend reviewing that in full so you can get a full scope of the financial aid at Towson, as well as the different scholarship options. Okay, so finally, this is just our contact information. So we have a couple of different ways that you can reach out to us. First, you can go to our website, and on our website, we have a live chat service. So you would just click on the blurb and chat with one of our members of our office. We have our phone number and financial aid. And then we also have our physical location in the Enrollment Services building. And there's our time that we're available. And I wanted to make a specific mention that you are immediately assigned a financial aid advisor once you come to TU. And if you would like to meet with them, if you have complex or more in-depth questions rather than just general questions, you can absolutely contact our office to schedule a meeting with your advisor just to discuss that further and help you make a plan for the semester.
Thank you, Michael. And we're going to go ahead and transition over. Let me just get the other slideshow up, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ruby. All right, Tom, take it away.
I'm muted. There I am. Well, let me introduce myself again. I am Tom Ruby. I am the director of the Student and University Billing Office. And the Student University Billing Office has two primary responsibilities. Number one, to bill you, and number two, to collect money from you for your semester bill. And let me take, there we go. And this is how this is going to work for you. Based upon your registration, a e-bill will be generated. Now, we don't send any paper bills home. We actually utilize a e-bill system through a business partner, which is called TouchNet. Now, you will get a email notification to your TU email address, and it's very important that you look at your TU email address all the time, because that is the only means of communication that this university will have with you. And that e-bill will advise you to come to the TouchNet e-bill portal. At the e-bill portal, you're going to authenticate yourself, and you'll be able to pick up your bill. We'll go to the next slide. Now, the e-bill is going to be itemized from the standpoint of tuition, all of the mandatory fees, which are auxiliary, athletic, wellness, technology, student government association, and any other ancillary charges that would be charged to you during the semester, such as housing or a meal plan, a parking permit, U-Store digital access fees, any other charges, lab or class fees, will all be itemized on your semester bill. It would be very easy to follow. Now, after the e-bill for the semester has been satisfied, if you have any new charges that come onto your account during the semester, there will be a monthly account statement prepared. Again, you will get an email directing you to the TouchNet e-bill portal, and you'll be able to pick that monthly statement up, and any new charges will be identified and also itemized for you to pay. Now, here at Towson, our business policy is if you have a balance more than $500, your registration privileges for the next semester will be suspended. So you need to make sure that you're checking your monthly statement so that you don't run into a situation whereby you have a balance more than $500, you're ready to register, and you can't because you didn't pay your monthly statement or pay it down to at least $500. Next slide. So your due date is February 3rd. Now, our continuing students, their bill is actually due on January 6th, but we always give our new students, and you being a new student to Towson, have a later due date, and that later due date is February 3rd. This will be the only time that you will actually have a later due date. For future semesters, your due date will appear on your e-bill, and that is the due date that you will need to pay your bill. Next slide. So, methods of payment. Now, cash can be utilized to pay your bill. I like cash, to be honest with you. However, please don't send any cash through the mail. Come to our payment center. We'll be happy to take your cash and give you a receipt for it. If you're paying by check or money order, you want to make it payable to Towson University. And in the memo section of the check or the money order, please note your name and your TUID number. That helps the payment center to post that payment directly onto your account. Now, here at Towson, we have found that many of our students and their parents take advantage of paying the semester bill with an ACH or an e-check payment. Works out very well. And TouchNet also provides to our university community a payment portal. It works very easy. You would come to the payment portal, you would authenticate yourself, and then you would identify the checking account or savings account and the bank routing number and the amount of money that you want to pay. It's an automatic process, and that payment would be posted directly onto your financial account. There is no fees associated with an ACH e-check payment. We also accept wire transfers. And what I mean by that, maybe you're dealing with a credit union, a lending institution for your semester bill, and they wish to make that payment in your behalf by wiring the money directly to the university. And we accept wire payments. However, there is some information that you need to provide that credit union or lending institution so that the wire payment is successful and does get posted onto your account. All the information that you need to provide the credit union or the lending institution is right on our website. You would come to the student and university billing office website, and you'll be able to get that information. Third-party payments, we do accept third-party payments. And let me give you a couple examples of what I mean by that. Maybe your parent's employer is paying some or all of your cost of education. That would be a third-party payment. Maybe you're receiving VA benefits. That would be a third-party payment. Maybe your parents, your grandparents are participating in Maryland Prepaid College Trust 529 or another 529 in another state. That would be a third-party payment. Here's what you need to do to help us. You need to contact the student and university billing office to let us know that a third-party payment is coming. That way we can put a notation on your account that there is a third-party payment coming, and that helps us to manage that for you. In some cases, we may need to help you to secure that payment, whereby we may need to prepare an invoice to that third-party payment, and we're happy to do that. Now, if your parent or your grandparent are participating in Maryland Prepaid College Trust, here's what you need to do. Once you get your e-bill, you want to share that with your parents or your grandparents so that they can marry that bill up with an authorization form from Maryland Prepaid. And that needs to be submitted directly to Maryland Prepaid for them to prepare a payment in your behalf. Now, there are two options for the payment. It can be a payment that will go directly back to the parent or to the grandparent, or a payment that comes directly to the university. We advise you to have the payment come directly to the university. That saves a lot of time in having that payment posted to your account. Now, finally, let me just talk a little bit about credit card. Here at Towson, we do not accept credit card payments for the semester bill. However, TouchNet, through the payment portal, they do manage all of the credit card payments, and that would be for MasterCard, Visa, Discover, and American Express. However, they do assess a 3% convenience fee on the amount of the charge of the credit card. Next slide. Here we go. All right. So here at Towson, we do offer an installment plan, the Tiger installment plan, which we also call the TIP. And here's how it works. You could schedule as many as 4 monthly payments for your semester bill. There is a very small enrollment fee, and all payments would be made either as a ACH e-check payment or by a credit card payment, and all payments will be due on the 10th of each month. Now, you can come directly to our website, and you will find information as it relates to the Tiger installment plan, and it is self-enrollment. You would be identifying the budgeted amount that you would like to go ahead and schedule for the number of payments that you select. Could you go to the next slide? So here is just a general description as it relates to the Tiger installment plan. And you can see here that you can schedule as many as 4 and as few as 2 monthly payments. And you can see at the far right-hand side of this pamphlet that all the dates for the payment is the 10th of each month. So you would find this information right on our website, and of course the enrollment form is right there. Next slide. So I know that Mike had already talked a little bit about the FERPA, and it is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And what that means is your financial aid record, your financial account record, and your academic record protect your privacy. We cannot disclose any information only to you. And that is a federal regulation that we need to comply to. Now, if you do have someone that you would like to have access to your financial aid account and your financial account, you can do that by completing the release of information form, which is on the online services account. But if you do not complete that, and maybe a parent, your parent contacts my office and would like to talk to one of my associates about your account, and if the release of information form is not completed, we cannot talk to that individual. So I highly recommend that you would like to go ahead and facilitate completing the release of information for anybody that you identify to have full access to both your financial aid as well as your financial account, that we can share information. Next slide. So as Mike had outlined, if your financial aid exceeds the cost of education for the semester, there could be a financial aid rebate that is available to you. There's also situations whereby there are general refunds. And let me give you an example of what I mean by a general refund. A student comes here to Towson as a full-time student. They have their schedule taking 15 academic units. Well, they also have a part-time job. And once they get here, they realize that there's a bit of a conflict and they need to make an adjustment to their schedule. And they go from full-time down to 9 credits being a part-time student. Now there is a financial adjustment to the account for tuition and mandatory fees. And the bill was paid, and now there's a credit balance on the account. That would result in a general refund. But as I mentioned, if you have financial aid and your aid package exceeds the cost of education, there would be what is called a financial aid rebate. We utilize a business partner to process all refunds and all financial aid to our students, and that is Bank Mobile. Now, you need to identify with Bank Mobile how you would like to receive your refund or your financial aid rebate. And there are three options. The first option is a financial transfer to a checking account or a savings account that you identify. It is the most expeditious way to get your money. Bank Mobile will actually email you when the money is in your bank account. The second option is a paper check. Now, paper checks are processed and mailed through the United States Postal Service. Not always the most efficient way of getting money. You have to rely on the postman delivering your mail in a timely fashion, and there is no guarantee that that's going to happen. But if you do need to receive it as a paper check, you want to identify that to be mailed to the address that you identify with Bank Mobile. The final option is actually the default. If you select nothing, it's going to be a paper check, and it's going to be mailed to the address that is in the student information system. Now, there are multiple banks that surround this campus. If you don't have a checking account or savings account, you might want to think about that. Here on our campus, we actually have a brick and mortar bank, PNC. You may want to come into the student union and open a checking account or savings account, but you do have to have some money to open an account. You just can't come into the bank and say, I want an account. You do have to have some money to do that. But finally, the electronic fund transfer to a checking account or savings account is the most efficient and quickest way to get your money. Next slide. So here at Towson, you are also able to identify anyone, primarily maybe your parent, as an authorized user of your financial account. Now, by doing that, you're, in addition to you getting the email about a e-bill, your parent would also get the email letting them know that there is a bill available. That would work out very well from the standpoint of, in a lot of cases, maybe your parent is helping you with the cost of education. Furthermore, they would have full access to review your account. They would be able to see all the charges. They would also be able to see all the credits, all the payments that appear on your financial account. So I highly recommend that you want to go ahead and do that by authorizing your parent as an authorized user of your financial account. And you would be doing that through the Towson online services. I highly recommend that you would like to do that. Next slide. So here's some action items. Remember, your e-bill due date is February 3rd, and pay your bill on time. It's most important. Also, make sure that you are checking for any monthly statements and paying that monthly statement on the due date to avoid any late fees. We do assess late fees for any payments that are received after the bill due date. Complete the release of information authorization form. That way we can talk to anybody that you identify about your financial account and your financial aid account. Designate anybody that you would like as an authorized user of your financial account and for your e-bill. That would work out very well for you. Also, sign up through the Disbursement Online Center, and that is with Bank Mobile, how you would like to get a refund or your financial aid rebate. Again, the electronic fund transfer to a checking account or savings account is really efficient and very quick. And then here at Towson, we are required to provide all eligible students what is called a 1098-T tax credit form. And they are only for eligible payments out of pocket for tuition and fees. So payments that were made through a scholarship, through federal loans, any other payments other than out of pocket would not be qualified for a tax form. And we are required to have that tax form available by January 31st of each calendar year. And we always get that out but we have to mail it. And we're trying to be a green campus by avoiding printing this form, putting it in an envelope, putting postage on it, and mailing it out. We have this as a online form that we will actually email you if you are eligible for this 1098T tax form, so that you can go ahead and pick it up online. We ask you to cooperate and help us with that. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, if you have a balance more than $500, your registration privileges will be suspended for the next semester. And you definitely want to be able to have your registration privilege in place so that you can secure all the classes that you require and need and want. And if you have a balance more than $500, unfortunately, there would be a delay. Next slide. So we are located in the Enrollment Services Building. We're on the west end of the university campus. The Office of Financial Aid and the Student and University Billing Office are located on the third floor. You can come and visit us in this building. Next slide. Here's how you can contact us. You can call us. I have 18 associates in our customer service area who'll be happy to help you in any way possible. If you'd rather email us, this is our email address. And then also we have a great website and a tab and a link for frequently asked questions. In a lot of cases, your question may be answered right with our frequently asked question area. We ask you to go ahead and take a look at that first, but if it's not, please contact us. We'll be happy to help you. Next slide. And then finally, thank you very much. And those who are transitioning to the university, welcome to Towson University. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks to everyone that presented today. Hopefully that gives you a good, solid understanding of what is to come in the future. And just as a reminder, final grades will be available for students to view through their MyCCBC account on December 19th. And then the college will be closed until January 5th. And when we reopen, Macy will send those notifications out to students about their status. There are a number of things that take place on the back end to get you fully transitioned over, but registration for those students who were not on track at the midterm point will begin that following Tuesday on the 6th, and so more information will come out about that. Michael, there was a question from a student that wanted to know if can they apply for scholarships prior to January 5th, because they won't yet have been fully transitioned at that point.
Yeah, great question. So it really depends on the type of scholarship. Any TU specific scholarships, you would have to wait until that January 5th when you transition to TU. And then any non-TU scholarships like State of Maryland scholarships through MHEC or private scholarships, you can certainly start applying now. So on our scholarship page, we have kind of 4 large areas of scholarships. We have our TU scholarships. We have departmental scholarships broken down by each department. We then have State of Maryland scholarship information listed on there. And then finally, we have a great private scholarship page that has information in 2 ways. A local private scholarship bulletin board for options that would be more geared towards Maryland residents and TU people attending TU, as well as about 7 or 8 different search engines that we've already vetted for their accuracy. So they're really just good scholarship options that you could apply to. The one downside with those private scholarships is a lot of them have a lot of students applying. So those are typically the most competitive options. And then just the website would just be towson.edu/scholarships.
Great, thank you. And I also wanted to note, because it wasn't mentioned, but Tom brought it up, the 1098T, CCBC will also provide you one of those if you qualify. And so be on the lookout for that. And then the presentation, yes. So the presentation will be sent out after this session. It might take a few days. We're going to upload it to our YouTube page, but we'll also include the PowerPoints as well. Can we put tuition remission as soon as the TU registration is done? That's a question. I don't know if that's Tom or Michael.
That's actually me. You would be submitting that to the university. That's processed through our HR department, and they communicate that on to the Student and University Billing Office, and we also share that information with our Office of Financial Aid. So you should go ahead and facilitate that as quickly as possible.
Thanks, Tom. Other questions? Please feel free to put them in the chat. We're also going to send out an FAQ. Macy's going to put that together. I see a hand up, Adrian Jones. Feel free to unmute yourself or put it in the chat.
Good morning. Just wanted to know, do we need to fill out the FAFSA before January 5th as well?
So you would want to add Towson's school code at the end of December. You could certainly do it at the beginning of January as well for the 25-26 FAFSA, and that's what we'll use to give you an award package for the spring. But you definitely want to wait until after the end of the semester so CCBC doesn't have to collect any documentation due to any changes. And then the 26-27 FAFSA, that you can complete now, and that's due by February 1st to be awarded for next fall.
Okay, so we can use the original FAFSA, just add the school and the school code.
Yep, exactly. And that'll be on the presentation for you, our school code.
Thank you.
All right, the next question is the Edward T. and Mary A. Conroy Memorial Scholarship Program for Military Dependents available for spring semester with Towson, if not requested in the fall semester with FTP.
So you're saying that they didn't get it in the fall, right?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay. So unfortunately, you have to first apply for the Conroy Scholarship by July 15th. So unfortunately, if you didn't apply initially by that date with CCBC, you're unable to apply at Towson for the spring semester, and you would have to wait to apply for the 26-27 year. And our application for that year will be made available in early January. And like I said, that's due by July 15th with all required documentation. So unfortunately not for the spring semester, but you can definitely get that starting in fall 26.
Great. Is it okay if Towson already appears on the 25-26 FAFSA form that was submitted at the time? Yes, absolutely. Don't make any changes though. So that's I think the message we're trying to get here, because that could trigger some unintended consequences. So yes, if it's already on there, you did what you were supposed to do from step one. So very good. Any other questions before we close this out for the day? This was a great turnout. Hopefully you got the information you came here for and feel much better about the next steps. We want to wish you all a great rest of the semester. Good luck with finals, and we will be in touch. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Stop the recording.